All right.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming here. It's a protest from SIMAC, South Ocean Migration and Asylum Action Group. We are supporting refugees and asylum seekers. We are a human rights group campaigning on human rights and asylum seekers and refugees' rights. I don't want to promote any more SIMAC. I'm sure that most of you know that about SIMAC. So I'm gonna tell you why we are here. This is a protest to support an Iranian woman in front line, which we believe that this is the first female revolution in the world. Women in Iran, they are coming in the front line to supporting freedom, democracy, and their rights. They are fighting with the armed police, street, alley road to alley road, fighting against dictators, fighting for their rights. First of all, I'm gonna ask our first speaker, Shahrzad. Shahrzad, she's gonna let us know what's going on and what's happening in Iran and his ambitions.
I am a woman. I am an Iranian woman. I'm here as a woman from my country. The women of my country have had many problems and have come to the street many times and expressed their protest against the injustice of women. But unfortunately, they have been suppressed many times. As a woman, they only want the civil right of the woman. And I ask you people to be our voice for freedom and justice for women. We need your help. We need your help to make our voice heard by the world. The women of my land have lived in suffocation. We have continued with tears in our eyes and anger in our throats. And we ask you to support the women's rights freedom movement, please. Iranian people are fighting for freedom and justice. We need your help to amplify their voice. Please stand with us. Iran's environment is suffocation for women and girls. No woman or girl is independent and free. On the September the 16th, Mahsa Amini detained by Molarity police and killed. Mahsa visited Tehran as a small holiday, and because a little of her head is visible, the police arrested her and took her to the detention center. Because of the beating, she gets hit on the head and dies. The girls of my land need to breathe freely. The girls of my land have the right to freedom like all free girls all the world. So, where are the rights of the girls of my land? I'm mourning. I'm grieving not for Mahsa, for all the women of my land. Please stand with us, support us. Thank you to all you to support us. Woman life freedom. Woman life freedom. Woman life freedom. Woman life freedom.
Woman.
In Iran, Iranian women, they are the second-class citizen. Second-class citizen for 43 years. Iranian women, they are leading this protest in Iran. They are supporting Iranian movement. I'm gonna ask our main speaker, Surush. He's gonna explain what's going on in Iran. Thanks very much, Surush.
Hello, can you hear me? Yeah. fantastic. Hello to all who are here, and thank you for support and spending your precious time to listen to us. I'm from Iran. Iran is a country in Middle East. I'm here today to talk about what is happening in my home country. Before 1979, Iran was a peaceful and its people were respected all around the world. Its rich culture was admired, but after 1979, the Islamic regime took over and forced its ideology upon its own people. They spread their ideology and violence to other countries, Lebanon, Yemen, Iraq, to name but a few. However, the worst been happening in Iranian people. The regime killed thousands of people and run the country by barbaric armed force. What regime did to women? It is evidence during last 40 years, all basic rights of women have been violated. Women do not have rights of clothing. The regime forced women to wear hijab. They cannot show their hair and they cannot dance or sing. They cannot leave the country or having passport without their spouse's permission. They cannot study or work in all fields of study because some fields are single sex and reserved for men, and women do not have right to enter them. The law of Islamic Republic of Iran, severe punishment and death penalty are considered for the people with different sexual orientations. There is no peaceful existence with other religions. We are witnessing the most brutal and unfair reaction to our Christians, Jews, Baha'is, and Zoroastrians. Even Sunnis who are Muslim are in severe economical deprivation, and even peaceful protests in these regions such as Kurdistan or Sistan Baluchistan answered with most brutal force. There is no right to protest, and freedom of expression for any group is violated. The government response is torture and jail. However, these days it is fascinating to watch the biggest protest for basic human rights. Their bravery cannot be explained, as they are fighting with their bare hand against the most barbaric armed force. These protests started after the killing of Mahsa Amini by minority police. During these 3 weeks, we witnessed the most tyranny of this government, including attack on Iran's top university, Sharif University, where our scientific elites study. Imagine special forces rounded up the University of Sheffield campus and arrest a student, and with no one knowing where a student to be taken. They attack on schools, higher schools, to suppress and protest female teenager students. 2 protesters, 16-year-old girl Nika and Sarina, were beaten to death and forced their families to make a fake interview on television. The girls become symbols. We have a long list of young girls and boys as well. They killed 2 boys, aged 10 and 14, with direct gunfire, and killed many teenager boys and girls in different cities, which now the number is more than 180 people. We witnessed beating of pregnant women, old men, elementary school children yesterday, just yesterday. Also, we witnessed attacks on people's houses, imprisoning famous people who criticize government's brutal action, including footballers, actors, lawyers. There is even worse to minorities. We saw siege and mass killing of 90 unarmed innocent people in city of Zahedan. I'm talking about southeast of Iran in one day. There is no need to talk about Kurdistan. The region is a bloodshed. It may sound unbelievable, but unfortunately it's true. The government blocked the internet so we cannot hear their people's voice. As Iranian who is far from my homeland, I know was my duty to be their voice and for my own people. We want freedom. The freedom that we have here, and all of us around the world, I'm talking about Iranian men and women, and with support of you, will fight for human rights against this regime. People of Iran need to be heard. Please be their voice.
Thanks very much for Surush. We've got a big solidarity from all around the world. 7 foreign ministers supported Iranian women movement. German, France, Sweden, Canada, Spain, Chile, all foreign ministers, they have supported Iranian women movement for protest in Iran. We've got a big solidarity with other famous, well-known avant-garde people as well. Noam Chomsky, he supported Iranian movement as well. Bernie Sanders, American senator who always supported freedom and democracy for all people in the world, he was one of our supporters. I'm gonna ask Angelino from Sheffield Green Party to help and support us. She is coming to speak with us. Thank you.
Hi everybody, thank you very much for inviting me to speak. The events that are still unfolding in Iran following the brutal death of Mahsa Amini, and where an unconfirmed number of protesters, both men and women, have been killed by the police, remind us that we cannot take for granted our rights. In fact, we know that we cannot take them for granted. Whilst we are here to show our solidarity with the women of Iran, we stand with all women making a stance against oppressive regimes. We support women of Iran making a choice, having a choice about whether or not they want to wear a headscarf. We also support women in France having a choice to wear a veil in public places if they choose to do so. We stand with all victims of violence and oppression under undemocratic regimes, and we stand for all women to have a choice to wear whatever the hell they want, and without fear of being attacked by men. The protests in Iran and the brave stance of women and men there also remind us what has been done to the right to protest here in the UK by the previous Prime Minister, and I don't think that we have much hope for the current one. And also what is happening around Europe, where more extreme right views rise to power on the wave of lies and populistic deceit. So we need to stick together. We need to continue to work and fight for our rights, and we need to speak for those who don't have a voice. We will not be silenced, and women of Iran will not be silenced. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Angelino. From south of Iran and to north of Iran, from Zahedan to Tabriz, from Sanandaj to Mashhad to Tehran to Rasht, all cities of Iran, their protest. Last night till end of the night, it was protest in south of Tehran, the which part of Tehran, which is the really poor people. These people, they are really fed up from lots of corruptions, 43 years executions. Iran has got the highest level of the execution in the world after China. And if you compare it with China's population, it's nothing. So Iran is the first one. And the execution has been started. The next day after Iranian Revolution 43 years ago. This government in Iran cannot carry on anymore. This is lots of corruptions. Every day, even in Iranian TV, they are explaining about finding new corruptions. First day which this revolution, this protest has been started in Iran, people they have been, the Iranian women, they wanted just freedom for hijab. But now, after 4 weeks, we need just regime change. Shut down with the Islamic Republic of Iran. Our next speaker is Maxine from Sheffield Trade Union Council. Thank you, Chancey.
I hope these workers are getting double pay, by the way. I want to bring greetings and solidarity from the Sheffield Trade Union Council. And I want to say that the bravery of those young women across all the cities in Iran who have really poured onto the streets, taken off their hijabs and defied the security forces is absolutely breathtaking. And we have to applaud them and we wish them an absolute victory. And we're talking about people like Nikki Shakarami, a 17-year-old who disappeared in police custody and was later buried in a grave miles away in one of the villages in order to stop people from being on the funeral march when she was buried. People like Serena Esmail Zadeh, who's 16-year-old, another woman who was disappeared in police custody, no doubt killed by the security forces. And then, of course, the spark that really set the thing alight was the murder in custody of Mahsa Amini. And she'd been arrested for defying the country's strict dress codes. And just like Angelo said, I believe that it's a woman's right to choose what she wears, when she wears it, whether you're talking about her hijab, whether you wear it or not, it's a woman's right to decide. And I also believe it's a woman's right to decide whether she wears a burkini or a bikini. We should end this idea that men can start to police what it is that women wear. And the women are defying the conservative and oppressive culture towards women. Their fire has very quickly turned on to the regime, not just being about freedom to wear what you want. They've turned their fire on the regime as well. And these young women are supported by most of the Iranian people. Opinion poll of people who are both secular and religion, time and time again, has shown that most people in Iran do not support the idea of compulsorily making people wear the hijab. So they have the people behind them. Also, behind here, what's a seething mass, really, of people who, just like here, are suffering massive price hikes. I don't know if people have seen that the neoliberal policies that have been adopted by the Iranian regime means that price rises for pasta and for bread, the basic necessities of life, have risen by 300%. You're talking about a country where 50% of the 85 million people who live there are living below the poverty line. Not surprisingly, people are incredibly angry about what is taking place. And we therefore need to stand in absolute solidarity with the Iranian people. I don't believe in sanctions, by the way. Sanctions are not going to be the solution. Sanctions always attack the poorest people. We have to have solidarity, not sanctions. We need to show unity across the world for the people of Iran. And actually, somebody said that women are at the forefront. Actually, I'll tell you something. Women have always been at the forefront of every struggle that we have seen taking place. because they are the oppressed and downtrodden, and they have a lot to gain by standing up and fighting back. Whether you're talking about the Arab Spring, where women were in the squares fighting back, whether you're talking about Sudan, where you saw that image of the woman on top of the car. Actually, it's women who have been at the forefront, but behind them are working people who want to stand alongside them. So just like in this country, women are at the forefront of the struggle here as well. We have a government that talks about the dream they have being to deport people to Rwanda. If that's your dream, then really you're bankrupt, I believe. And actually this government here has to go, and we need to stand in unity and fight for a socialist world, a world of freedom, a world where people stand together and care about other people and allow them the freedom to do as they wish to do. And that, I believe, is what we need to fight for. Solidarity, and maybe we should say their names. Marsha Amina, say her name.
Mahsa Amini.
Thanks very much for Maxine. Yeah. Sheffield Trade Union Council they have been always supporter of asylum seekers and refugees and Sheffield free movement. We always thankful from Trade Union Council and the chair of group Bob Jeffrey and Tom Martin. Thank you very much. Our next speaker, we haven't got a speaker. We've got a singer and music writer and music maker. His name is Arash. He has been always with us with asylum seekers and refugees and always have got very exciting music. Thank you very much.
So, first of all, I have to thank you to being here and support this movement. This is very important for us, for our generation who's been always living darkness. This is a time we all have hope to finally do something and finally bring the freedom that Iranian people really deserve. So I'm gonna sing this song, which lots of Iranians know that, but I've changed some words. So this is for the mullahs in Iran, especially Said Ali Mullah. Said Ali Mullah, Tamumi Wallah, Said Ali Mullah, Tamumi Wallah, Tamumi Wallah mikeshi bala, مالوم نالا میکنی آشا بارت میلنگه اولاغ لنگه شیشه و سنگ مشتی زد علی مولا حقی والا زد علی مولا کسی والا دستات که روشه خون که به جوشه خلق به خروشه داره تماشا حاضر و غایب
ساده و کاسه شهر و نایب جملگی را ساحل سید علی مولا حقی والا سید علی مولا تمومی والا اخ بیش رنجه مار سر گنجه پنجه به پنجه گشنه و دارا اون که بیداره دستاش به کاره اقو میگیره آخر دوا سید علی مولا جانی سید علی مولا تمومی والا اخ بیش رنجه مار سر گنجه پنجه به پنجه گشنه و دارم اون که میدانه دستاش به کاره اقو میگیره آخر دوا سید علی مولا حقی والا سید علی مولا تمومی والا هو 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 سید علی مولا Thank you.
Thanks very much, Arash. It was really fantastic. Thank you. Yeah, I'm gonna ask Cy Davis from Sheffield Jubilee Movement to come and join us. Cy.
Hi, and thank you so much for this community to allow me to speak here. What you are doing in Iran is inspirational, and it's a privilege to stand here in solidarity with the Iranian and the Kurdish communities and champion your resistance. That struggle is inspirational. Watching the resolution of women, youth, students and men fighting to ensure the life of Gina Mahsa Amini was not lost in vain brings goosebumps. You are, in the words of Angela Davis this week, harbingers of hope. Harbingers of hope not only for women, but also for the queer to demand autonomy over their bodies. And for all of us who want an end to racialized capitalism, to misogyny, to debt, and who are seeking a habitable planet. I am from the Jubilee movement. Jubilee means celebration. It was derived from the blowing of a trumpet, probably in the lands which Iran occupies now, when debts were cancelled, when slaves were freed from debt bondage. But Jubilee must mean more than that. Jubilee means women's rights and equality. Jubilee means freedom of countries from imperialism. It means stop climate change and environmental breakdown. And Jubilee will be the celebration when the Iranian Revolution is successful. I am humbled by the sacrifice and resistance being shown in Iran and the way in which women are leading that fight for justice and for the memory of Gina, but also for the dignity and freedom of all Iranian women, and for resistance against a regime that does not value human freedom. And my tears are for your suffering, but I'm awakened by the determination of your fight. Your resistance shows the only meaningful response to injustice. and attacks. And we are watching, and we are learning from your actions, and we are standing with you. Your fight is also our fight, and it's one fight for a better future. And I'm speaking in solidarity because our struggles are intimately connected, and we have to make those connections meaningful. We started the Jubilee movement to address the threat of climate breakdown and the injustice that created it, and the injustice that is created by it. And that is a reality for people in Iran and Kurdistan. Iran is suffering greatly from environmental breakdown and climate change. It's manifest in water shortages, it's manifest in air pollution, soil degradation, and it leads to crop failure, ill health and conflict. And the greatest impact of it falls upon women. And so it's no surprise that women are leading that fight for environmental protection. And it's true that the Iranian government is doing too little towards meeting its obligations to the international climate agreements. And the effect of that is not only detrimental to the planet, but it's going to make repression in Iran and the conflict in Iran worse. And the Iranian regime needs to do more. And I stand with the land defenders of Iran in demanding more. But people here, people in this country need to know that there isn't any support being given to countries to prevent the transition away from fossil fuels. The impact of debt and the impact of sanctions prevents the space for such a transition. So those most responsible for the climate crisis, governments and corporations in rich countries, must pay for that loss and damage. And we have to stand and address the impacts that our country causes and recognise that those impacts are felt most by the poor, the vulnerable. And the Iranian regime uses that external threat to build national unity, and around that it leverages the repression. And debt underlies every injustice. We call for debt cancellation. In Kurdistan and in Iran, you are using alternative power to state power. That is what is killing your people. Community is about cooperation. Cooperation to promote resilience to the climate crisis and the injustices that we face. Community recognises our independence, our connections, our shared humanity, and our reliance upon each other. And on the other side of the mountains in Syria, the Kurdish communities that Gina was a part of understood that power of community, the power of women and ecology. And the Kurdish women's freedom fighters fought under the slogan, "Women, Life, Freedom." That is the cry in Iran. That's our cry here. Women, life, freedom. Again.
Women, life, freedom. Women, life, freedom. Women,
The
life,
anger
freedom.
that connects us is the death of Gina and the who knows how many. Last I heard 150 others killed in this uprising. The connections we make here must be built upon to resist systems that not only kill women for contravening dress codes, but globally threatens people and planet. Your fight is our fight. There's one fight for a justice-based, habitable planet for all. We need to stand up everywhere. Your struggle is the inspiration for us to stand up, supporting you, and you supporting us. We are connected. I end with the words of Iranian musician Shervan Hajipour. For my sister, for your sister, for our sisters, Azadi!
Azadi!
Thanks very much, Sai. It was very exciting and very fantastic. I'm gonna ask Labour Councillor Ibtisam Mohammed. She's a human rights lawyer and she's always with SIMAG and she's supporting asylum seekers and refugees. Thank you very much.
Hello everyone, my name's Ibtisam. I'm a Labour councillor in the Firth Park ward of Sheffield. I'm of Yemeni heritage. I know what it means to struggle In Yemen, we had Tawakkul Karaman, a strong female activist, challenged the Yemeni government, and she was, the people there tried to silence her as well. So I stand in solidarity with the Iranian people and the Kurdish community in their struggle against the oppressive regime. They march with strength and courage in the streets of their homeland, the streets that in the past 2 weeks have become extremely dangerous for them. They shout, "We'll die for Iran, death to the dictator, and women, life, freedom." And we stand with them in their chants. We stand in particular with our sisters in Iran who are calling for their basic right to choose to wear the hijab. We stand with our sisters who are protesting against it being made a political weapon. We stand with them against the violence used to exclude them physically from the public space when they do not conform. As a woman who wears the hijab, I know that there can be no compulsion. It must be a choice. I stand by their freedom to choose in the same way that I stood against the freedom being taken away from French Muslim women. We are all on the same side, the side that opposes coercion and gender violence. When the Iranian women walked in the streets and shouted, "Women, life and freedom," they were shouting outright that they demand total and unconditional freedom, and that their struggle is broader than the issue of being forced to wear the hijab. No country, no morality police has the right to tell Iranian women or Muslim women across the world to wear the hijab by force. Nor does any country across the world anywhere have the right to prevent Muslim women from choosing to wear the hijab if they choose to do so. My sisters in Iran, we stand with you. We are on the same side that chooses freedom, the freedom to choose, the freedom from oppression. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Ibtisam. I'm going to go to the next speaker from Sheffield left. She's Maria. Maria's from Chile, and we never forget what's happened in Chilean women and Chile's women's movement. We never forget what's happened to Salvador Allende and what's happened with dictator Pinochet. So let me know what's happening in your country and your experience. We're listening to you.
I think you just did my speech for me, but thank you. Thank you for inviting us here today, and it's great to see such a good turnout. So I bring solidarity from Sheffield Left. We stand with you in this fight against the oppression of women. But as it's just been explained, I'm also from Chile. So I have first-hand experience of how important it is to have groups like Sheffield Left and other groups supporting international solidarity, because it makes a difference. In my country, when the dictatorship reigned, it was the women, again, that were at the forefront of the oppression. It was the women that were raped by the security forces. It was the women who had to look after the families while their political prisoners were languishing in concentration camps. And it is always the women that after a day of battle against the state, we have to get up the next day and make sure that there's food for our families. When Pinochet, our dictator, was arrested in 1998, the Kurdish community in London came out and supported us during those 503 days that Pinochet was under arrest. And we have never forgotten the solidarity that we received from the Kurdish brothers and sisters. When in 2019, Chile despertó, which is what it says on the flag that my little boy is carrying, and what means that the liberal nightmare it was forced to put on in 1973 by a coup that was supported by the CIA and backed by the British government, a coup that Iran knows well with its own in 1953 when Mossadegh was taken out by the British and the CIA. And when the Chilean people came out in those demonstrations to fight for economic, social and environmental justice. It was the women again that were rounded up by the security state and violated. And as a consequence, La Tesi, a feminist collective in Chile, created El Violador en tu Camino, which is a dance and a chant, which means the rapist in your path, accusing the security states, all up to the president, in oppressing women and their bodies. And that chant went viral, and I'm proud to say that in Kurdistan it was also done by the women out there. Because this struggle, compañeros and compañeras, is global. And this struggle is not just about women's right to choose what to wear. That should be a given. We are human beings and we have the same right as the brothers here in this audience. It is not about equality. Let's make this clear. This is about liberation. That is what the feminist struggle is about. And this is not just a liberation movement that we find. Okay. This is not a liberation movement that we just find in the global south. Don't let the press tell you that this is just about brown and black people that don't know how to govern ourselves. This is a liberation movement that we find in the United States when abortion laws are taken back and women are forced to flee to states and even across the world to be able to have the right to choose what to do with their body. It happens here in Britain when Sarah Everard was picked up by a serving, make that point again, a serving police officer of the Met. Not a retired or one that had left, a serving police officer using police credentials and kidnapped and raped and murdered her under the auspice of the Metropolitan Police. It is about Bibi and Nicole Smallman, beautiful women that were killed in a park near there by some enraged right-wing activists, and then had the Met Police take photographs and selfies of their naked bodies to share with the other serving police officers on WhatsApp groups. This is not just about the global south, this is also about the global north. Because let's make one thing very clear. Patriarchy, and I wear with pride my Eat the Patriarchy t-shirt today. Patriarchy and capitalism are the same side, two sides of the same coin. Because both systems require oppression, they require abuse, they require the taking of our rights. Because as women, we're the last to have rights and we're the first to have them taken away from us. So for all those here that are fighting for economic justice, social justice, environmental justice, you also have to fight for women's liberation, because you cannot have one without the other. Let's not forget that International Women's Day began in 1906 by women coming out in the New York cities and striking for better working conditions. The two go hand in hand. Our liberation is your liberation. So I make a pledge. I have a lot of love for Sheffield. I was received here with my family as refugees back in the 70s, and I will always march alongside Sheffield compañeras y compañeras. But I have to admit, International Women's Day is a bit poor in Sheffield. So I make this proposal today to everyone. May the 8th of March next year, International Women's Day, may all our banners be there. And we're fighting for Jina, we're fighting for Kurdistan, we're fighting for Iran, we're fighting for Palestine, we're fighting for Mexico, we're fighting for Chile, we're fighting for all the women across the world, and indeed everyone that fights against oppression. Mujeres, vida, libertad. Jiyan Azadi.
Jiyan Azadi.
Solidarity, compañeros y compañeras. Thank you.
Hello everyone, welcome. I'm going to say thank you for coming here and stand with us. First of all, I'm going to say this is not basically Iran. This is not the protest. This is the beginning of revolution. And we are here to be them voices. We are here to them voices. We are here to them voices, and we are here to get them support. They need our support. We need to push basically our MPs. That's what they did in Canada. Some European nation, they oppressed them, and they did some sanction of more than 10,000 by Iranian like Sepah, called Sepahis. We need some action. We need some action as well, and we are here to get them voice what they are saying in Iran. Let's see how many Iranian here. پس من یک شعار ایرانی میدم ببینم چند تا ایرانی اینجا هستش. زن زندگی آزادی،
زن زندگی آزادی،
زن زندگی آزادی،
زن زندگی آزادی.
Woman life freedom,
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 woman life freedom.
woman life freedom.
Say her name, say her name.
Mahsa Amini,
Say her name, say her name.
Mahsa Amini,
Say her name, say her name.
Mahsa Amini.
Human rights freedom.
Human rights freedom,
Human rights freedom.
human rights freedom,
Human rights freedom.
human rights freedom.
Be the voice for Iran.
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 Regime change in Iran. Mullahs out of Iran.
Regime change in Iran. Mullah out of Iran.
Regime change in Iran. Mullahs out of Iran.
Regime change in Iran. Mullah out of Iran.
Regime change in Iran. Freedom for Iran.
Regime change in
Iran, freedom for Iran.
Regime change in Iran. Freedom for Iran.
Regime change for Iran.
Freedom for Iran.
Iran, yes. Mullahs, no. They are terrorists. They must go. Iran, yes. Mullahs, no. They are terrorists. They must go.
Iran, yes. Mullahs, no. They are terrorists. They must go.
Say her name. Say her name.
Mahsa Amini.
Say her name. Say her name.
Mahsa Amini.
Thanks very much, Siamak. I'm going to ask you to listen to our friend, our supporter, Vicar of St. Mark Church, who's the St. Mark Church is the most liberal in Sheffield and always supporter of Iranian refugees and all refugees.
Hello. Thank you for letting me speak today. Why am I here? A Christian, a priest, why am I here? Because as has been said very powerfully from so many other people, this is not one struggle. This is a human struggle. Woman, life, freedom. These are not too big to ask for. I stand here because I am a woman in a patriarchal organization, but I have never had to fear for my life when I have spoken up against the patriarchy. So I stand here as a woman, and I stand with those women in Iran who are losing their lives, who are losing their freedom. And we say no. We say that will not do. And I take my hat off to each and every person standing here today, because it takes courage to say this has to stop. And you may feel you can do nothing, but you are standing here today in solidarity with those who face a bullet for doing the same. I am here because I believe in life. That is the heart of my faith, the heart of my humanity. And that is why those women are prepared to give up their lives because of what they believe in. This is the time for change. This is the time for life and freedom. We've heard so many people speak from the heart about freedom. Each of us knows what our freedoms stand for, and I know how my parents and my grandparents have fought for female freedom in this country. And as has been said powerfully already, I know that across Europe, and not all that far from home, our freedoms are being compromised. I stand here as a woman, and I stand here as a member of the LGBT community. This is not always easy to stand up and speak on behalf of, and our freedoms are so necessary. So the voice of those women in Iran is our voice. We speak and we say, woman, life, freedom. These are basic human rights. These are not luxuries. We do not give them away. We stand up for them. We speak on their behalf. We campaign and we protest, and we have courage. And I applaud each and every one of you for being here today. Thank you.
Thanks very much for Sue Hammersley, Vicar of St. Mark Church. 27 journalists have been arrested officially, and more of them unofficially arrested by Iranian authorities. We need freedom for all journalists in Iran. I'm going to ask for our next speaker from Sheffield, from Care for Care representative in Sheffield.
Hi, my name is Karen. I work for Care, or I volunteer for Care for Calais, and we have the privilege of meeting a lot of the asylum seekers who are newly arrived in Sheffield, and often they are from Iran, and we meet them and we talk to them, and we find out from them the absolute horror that they've experienced from the regime in Iran. And it's really, really difficult, isn't it, to have hope at the moment, because when you look around at the far right gaining ground across Europe, when you look at our own disgusting government and the disgusting policies of people like Suella Braverman, who dream of sending people back to Rwanda, then it's really, really difficult to have hope. But the Iranian women who are fighting back against the regime give us hope, and it's absolutely brilliant and inspiring to see them. And I want to bring greetings to this protest from the Enough is Enough movement here in Britain, where we're fighting back against the living crisis, where we're fighting against what our government, the attacks of our government, because it's the same struggle. It's the same struggle, and we want to stand in solidarity with the women in Iran. And it's been amazingly inspirational to see women fighting back in Iran against all the odds. So I want us all to chant for women, life, freedom, Jin, Jian, Azadi. 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 And this is for Gina, Masa, Amina.
Thanks. Our next speaker is from Migrant Organize, a big organizer, a national organizer in UK, which they are supporting all refugees. And I'm going to ask him to give his solidarity to us. Solly.
It's very good to see so many people on Sunday coming out in Sheffield as usual. to stand in solidarity with the people of Iran and with the women of Iran and with the Kurdish community. I've been working with the Kurdish community for over 20 years. I have supported Kurdish community organized Halabja commemoration, Nowruz, and they are some of the most lovely people to work with. And also I understand the struggles that the Kurdish people have been fighting over the years. And I stand in solidarity, and we stand in solidarity. All of us in solidarity knows no borders, community of resistance. We stand with the people of Iran.
Yeah.
We also stand with the Kurdish community. The people of Iran have the right to protest, they have the right to freedom, they have right to life, and the women of Iran have rights like all other women around the world. Nobody has the right to deprive the women of Iran or the women of any other country their right. So therefore, the struggle for the freedom of the women of Iran is a struggle for humanity, for the freedom of humanity. So Mahsa Amini has not died for nothing. There are protests all over the world, and all of us are following, and everybody is standing up and down with the Iranian regime. Down with the regime, and we stand in solidarity forever with the people of Iran. Solidarity knows no borders. And we really sort of need to stand against all authoritarian regimes around the world. We know that protests work. We know that authoritarian regimes have fallen all over the world. We know that apartheid was defeated by protest. We know that the civil rights movement in America won their battles, a lot of battles. We know that the women got the right to vote in the UK, and we know that protests work. So you are all sort of heroes of these our times. And we need to continue the struggle, and we say that we stand in solidarity with the people of Iran, and we say women, life, freedom. Thank you very much.
Thanks very much, Salih. More than 200 people killed in Iran in last few weeks. Majority of them less than 25 years old, and nearly 5 child before 6-7 years old. Just imagine what's going on in Iran. I'm gonna ask again, Arash Sabet to help and make some more music for us. Thank you.
Right. This song is for Iranian people, especially who's living in Iran and fighting every day, every hour, every minute of their life for their freedom. Especially one of our friends who's been killed a few days ago, Mohammad Amin Takalli. If you know the words, you can sing with me, like I'm talking to Iranians actually. پاییز آمد در میان درختان لانه کرده کبوتر از سرآغوش باران می‌گریزد خورشید از غم با تمام غرورش پشت ابر سیاهی عاشقانه به گریه می‌نشیند من با قلبی به سپیدی روز میروم به گلستان همچو عطر عقایی لابلای درختان می‌نشینم من با قلبی به سپیدی روز میروم به گلستان همچو عطر عقایی لابلای درختان
نشینم شعر هستی بر لبانم جاری پر توانم آری میروم در کوه و دشت و صحرا رهپیمای قله ها هستم من در کنار یاران راه خود در طوفان می نوردم در کوهستان یا کویر تشنه یا که در جنگل ها رهنوردی شاد و پر امیدم باشد روزی شعر هستی بر لب جان نهاده بر کف راه انسانها را در نوردم شعر هستی بودن و کوشیدن رفتن و پیوستن از کجی بگسستن جان فدا کردن در راه خلقت شعر هستی بودن و کوشیدن رفتن و پیوستن از کجی بگسستن جان فدا کردن در راه خلقت شعر هستی بودن و کوشیدن رفتن و پیوستن از کجی بگسستن جان فدا کردن در راه خلقت پاییز آمد در میان درختان لانه کرده کبوتر از تراوش باران می‌گریزد خورشید از غم با تمام غرورش پشت ابر سیاهی عاشقانه به گریه می‌نشیند من با قلبی به سپیدی روز میروم به گلستان همچو عطر عقاقی لابلای درختان می‌نشینم من با قلبی به سپیدی روز میروم به گلستان همچو عطر عقاقی لابلای درختان می‌نشینم شعر هستی بر لبانم جاری پر توانم آری میروم در کوه و دشت و صحرا رهپیمای قله ها هستم من در کنار یاران راه خود در طوفان مینوردم در کوهستان یا کویر تشنه یا که در جنگل ها رهنوردی شاد و پر امیدم باشد روزی شعر هستی بر لب جان نهاده بر کف راه انسانها را در نوردم شعر هستی بودن و کوشیدن رفتن و پیوستن از کجی بگسستن جان فدا کردن در راه خلقت شعر هستی بودن و کوشیدن رفتن و پیوستن از کجی بگسستن جان فدا کردن در راه خلقت شعر هستی بودن و کوشیدن رفتن و پیوستن از کجی بگسستن جان فدا کردن در راه خلقت. Thank you.
We're coming to the end of our protest. One of our friends, Hamid, used to be with us in last few weeks. He supported us by making new posters and helping us to organizing these events. He helped us a lot. Hamid.
Once again, I want to thank every single one of you for coming up. I'm not a politician, and last night I was trying to prepare for this moment, and I didn't prepare anything. I want to tell you, all of these people, they're talking about politics. This is not politics. This is the voice of Iran revolution. This is the voice of the people who fought 4 decades for freedom. Walking in women's rights for 4 decades has created the right condition for Iran revolution. And we are here, and we are physical representative of our support for Iran revolution. And this is most important. And if you see that flag of Iran, this lion are Iranian women. And the men are behind them, and they sacrifice their life for that sun. That sun is light of Iran in this darkness, because this is not Iranian, this is not Republic Islamic of Iran. This is Republic Islamic versus Iran. This is not time for sorrowing. This is not time to crying. My friends are dying in Iran. They are fighting and standing behind of the woman. It was the young bright man was killed yesterday. He was shot in the head, and his mother said, "Don't feel sorry for me and keep fighting for freedom." And I ask you, all of you, slang talking of politician is enough. We need the support. United, we are stronger. Keep hashtagging Mahsa Amini. This is the code for Iran revolution. We need the support. Talking is always talking. We need the support. You have to tell to your representative in the member of your council, your MP, why they are silent. This is what we need. This is what we want. Support. This is not gathering. This is not party. This is the Iran revolution. And Western people should accept the Iran revolution. This is not a start from Mahsa Amini. It was a start from Nasrin Sotoudeh, from many women who sacrificed their life in last 4 decades. Yes, you mentioned Neda Agha Soltani. Yes, you're right. That was the reason I came to this country. Neda, Mahsa, like I said, they are light for Iran revolution. Navid Afkari, there are many. And I would like to ask you, Puya Akhtiyari they are all heroes, guys. There are many. If I want to name them for Mahsa, for Neda, for Muhammad Amin, until the next week I have to call it the name. This regime, there is no family losing the one member of their family because of this regime. And we are 8 million Iranian outside of the country. We are not minority, we are majority. And people of the Iran is majority. So, Western people, please accept Iran revolution. And I ask you, my people, Iranian people, keep fighting for your people. Do everything you can. Keep hashtagging, talking, and you British people, spread our word in your social media, in your socializing, in your pub, talking about this matter, because your media, your government seems to be deaf and blind for this matter. And remember, people united are strong. And I don't know any more powerful than people in this world. And I would like to ask you everyone, for all those heroes, from Neda Agha Soltan to Navid Afkari, Mahsa Amini, Hadis Najafi, Sarina Ismailzadeh, and many others who killed, and my friend who killed and died for Mahsa, for Hadith, for Nida, for all of the Iran, and they are dying more. Please, 1 minute, everyone, because this is not time for crying and be sorry. I'm proud of my friend Muhammad Amin Takali. I am proud of him. He is my hero. Please, 1 minute, together, we are clapping for all of the hero of the Iran.
برای ترسیدن و وقت بوسیدن برای خواهرامون برای تغییر مرزها که پوسیدن برای شرمندگی برای بی‌پولی برای حسرت زندگی معمولی برای پول که سوارگرد و آرزوهاش برای این اقتصاد دستوری برای این هوای آلوده برای بریت و درختای فرسوده برای پیروز و احتمال انقراضش برای سگهای بیگناه ممنوعه برای گریه های بیوقفه برای تصویر تکرار این لحظه برای چهره‌ای که میخنده برای دانش آموزا برای آینده برای این بهشت اجباری برای نخبه های زندانی برای کودکان افغانی برای این همه برای غیر تکراری برای این همه شعارهای تو خالی برای آوار خونه های پوشالی برای احساس آرامش برای خورشید پس از شبای طولانی برای غوصای اعصاب و بیخوابی برای مرد میهن آبادی برای دختری که آرزو داشت پسر بود برای زن زندگی آزادی